Breaking news, Russia has just issued a chilling warning to Israel. Since Israel announced plans to take full control, the world has been in an uproar condemning the move. Now Russia has stepped in, declaring that if Israel dares to proceed, Moscow will not stay silent and could launch severe action. Israel is now on high alert. Iran and Pakistan have also joined the warning, stating that if Israel makes any aggressive move toward, they will respond with strong measures. Meanwhile, the Western stance is shifting. Australia has announced it will officially recognize Palestine as a state, and Germany has halted all exports to Israel in protest. Yet one nation remains firmly in Israel's corner, the United States, standing by every decision it makes. The stakes couldn't be higher. If Israel enters God, Russia and Iran could unite for a large-scale military move, pushing the world dangerously close to a global conflict. So the question remains, after such overwhelming condemnation, will Israel still go ahead? And will the world finally take decisive action?
China sent shockwaves through Donald Trump with a direct warning. If the United States continues bombing Iran after officially declaring war, Beijing will intervene militarily to defend its ally and protect its vital interests in the Middle East. The Chinese Foreign Ministry called the massive attacks on Iranian nuclear facilities an imperialist war crime that violates the UN Charter, demanding that Trump immediately halt the aggression. Xi Jinping angrily called Trump, warning that any escalation would trigger an immediate and forceful response, with Chinese destroyers heading to the Persian Gulf and direct support for Tehran. China, which relies on Iranian oil for its economy, has already ordered the evacuation of its citizens from Iran and deployed its most powerful navy near the Strait of Hormuz. Trump retaliated by threatening 100% tariffs on Beijing, but China responded, "The United States does not rule the world." Russia and North Korea closed ranks with Beijing, creating an anti-Trump coalition that could set the planet ablaze. Will China go to war against Trump? Will it unleash World War III? China sent shockwaves through Donald Trump with a direct warning. If the United...
Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Lukakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations unto the 144,000. This is Brother Kyle here with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai. And as we saw here in the beginning, two yappa videos, fulfilling prophecy. Now again, I'm gonna say this in the beginning, the mark of the beast has to come first, right? So as excited as we are, the mark of the beast has to come first. So with that being said, let's go forth, full force. So we see in here, we all already aware and already know that, America and Israel bombing Iran, right? They killed their supreme leader, and I think it's 40 of the heads, in Iran as well, and as well as other people. Even blew up children in a school and all these different things, right? So these devils moving heartless, right? Now, of course, we're not backing Iran. We're not picking either side. You understand? But we're on the Lord's side with the fulfillment of prophecy, because we know this has to happen, right? Because this here is only the beginning of World War III. You understand? This is the beginning of World War III. And as you see in the videos, right? Russia and China, the two main countries right after the US, but the main ones in the prophecy as well in Ezekiel 38, they showing their allegiance with Iran, right? They're sending assistance and whatnot, right? Also, you heard about Australia, you heard about Germany and whatnot, and there's more countries to come in. These countries are going to join together, they're going to band together and bomb Israel and America, But again, the MOTB has to come first, right? But this is how close we are, because this shit already started, and I like how they march here, how neat and uniform that look, But nevertheless, this is just the beginning here, and the time is getting closer and closer, right? So let's get a little into Ezekiel 38. You know, pull it up here. And a couple of tabs open. Let's get it. Ezekiel 38. Let me read from this one. It says here in Ezekiel 38:1, it says prophecy about Gog and future invasion of Israel. You see that? Wow, that plain as there. We know Gog is Russia, right? Gog and Magog is referring to Russia, right? And I talk about future invasion of Israel. That's crazy, yeah? It says, and the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog and the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus say the Lord power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, right? And what that means is the Lord going to turn her back into that old Soviet Union state, you know, where the militant as fuck, you understand? And it also going to have their allies, you know, armed, as it even talks about, you know, and great company with bucklers and shields, you know, all of them handling swords and whatnot. And you know, the modern day sword, you know, is a gun, or in this case for the countries, it will be not just the guns, but the whole armory, you know, the missiles, everything, right? Because we know the further down in the verse it talks about, you know, the Lord telling Russia to, you know, arm the other nations as well as the self, you know. So it goes on, in verse 5, it says Persia, right? And Persia, you know, here is actually referring to Iran, you know, because we know their name was actually Persia before, until it was changed to Iran, right? So you see the first name that was called Persia, because how we know this too is that in 2nd Ezra 15 and 28 going down, it talks about, you know, coming from the east. You understand? That's basically World War III you're watching right there in our scripture, you know, when it talks about the Carmenians and whatnot, right? Because this is why I said, you know, as excited as we are, the mark of the beast has to come first, because we know according to Jeremiah 50 and 24, somewhere around there, when it talks about the Lord laid a snare for thee, which is a trap, we know Iran is that trap, you know. So you see in here, even in these videos, even though it hasn't happened yet, right? We seen in these videos here that these nations looking to align themselves with Iran, you know, just as Xi Jinping responded to the US when he placed tariffs, is that, hey, America don't rule the world. No, they really rule in the world, eh? But he's saying that because the Lord already put in his spirit and Putin's spirit to destroy them. You understand? Because they moving, America moving greedy. They want everything, and they feel like, if you know, and you see, you're hearing how Trump bragging and boasting about his military and whatnot, you know. But that's what the devil does. He's prideful, right? He's prideful, and he's just a devil. Long story short, you know. So it goes on here now. Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, with them, all of them with shield and helmet, right? It says Gomer and all his bands, and a house of Togama and of the north quarters, and all his bands and many people with thee, be thou prepared, right? And Salakia, you see how it talks about these other nations. This is the ancient nations for some of the names, for some of the countries that actually gonna join Iran, right? Like Turkey and even same Germany and all these different places too. They're gonna join in, right? So in verse 7 it talks about what? It says, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Right? So you see here, the Lord saying, prepare yourself. Right? So when the Lord say he go and turn the market to that old Soviet Union state, putting the hooks in the jaw. That is the Lord putting that spirit on them to prepare themselves. You understand? Prepare themselves and prepare the company, right? Meaning the other countries that with them, the other nations, right? He gonna be the God unto them. He's the big brother for them. You understand? So by the Lord having Esau, right? Well, let's say because Russia is Edomites too. So by the Lord having Trump and Babylon, attacking them, is fulfilling the prophecy, for these to come to pass, Because imagine Russia in a war with Ukraine right now, and he still have resources to spare by sending it to Iran. That is sure he just toying with Ukraine at this point, and how much the Lord really boosts the Russian military, So it goes on here. Verse 8 it says, after many days thou shalt be visited in the latter years, thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Right? Well, I can basically stop there. I read the point where I wanted to get, with Russia preparing them and himself and being a guard unto them, as the scripture says, right? Now let's get Joel 3. Right, the nations will be judged. That's a subheading. Joel 3:1, it says, for behold, in those days, in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, right, meaning the Lord will free us, both northern and southern kingdom, I will also gather all the nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is Yahweh's in Hebrew, which means Yahweh's judgment, and will plead with them, therefore my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. What have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head. And this scripture also showing here too that why it is also said that we're not even siding with the Iranians, because they're still Palestinians, and they had a hand in our slavery as well, So we're not sad when it is, we hear the leader die or how much of our children die and all these different things. They are heathens at the end of the day, right? But we'll be banging more on these devils because Trump just literally being a bully, because at the end of the day, remember, they are the ones that started the war first, They literally start that war because they find that nation shouldn't have nuclear arm. That's crazy. So you must have and they can't have, right? You don't want to, and he actually said it himself, he don't want no other country, right? He don't want that country to have, which I believe is also a facade as well, because they know that, Brother Priscan could go into this a lot deeper and a lot better, but they know that they had their plan set up from however long to take out, these 7 Islamic countries, and Iran was the last one, so using this as an excuse to actually attack them. And don't get tired, these devils know the prophecy too, These devils know the prophecy. But here's the ironic thing. You see how the Lord only revealed that prophecy unto us, in the later half, just before it happened, which is the same Jeremiah 50:24. Which I'm trying to remember the verse or the scripture, but yeah. The Lord revealed that unto us as Iran being the trap, just before it happened. That's why the scripture says we know in part and prophesy in part, These scriptures could never get old. This is prophecy rolling out right before your eyes. Right before your eyes. These people and them, Trump know what he doing, Trump know what he doing. He following orders from the elites and them, but he know what he doing. You understand? But nevertheless, it just show you how this devil is a bully. Right? But nevertheless, Joel 3:5, it says, because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things, the children also of Judah and the children also of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. And these Grecians are talking about here is actually Edomites, because the Edomites at that time took over the land of the Greeks, right? So you see, these devils have a lot to pay for, right? But not just them, all these other nations. That's why the Lord say his determination is to gather all the nations. I believe that's Isaiah. But it goes on, because we're reaching to the point here. It says, behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off, for the Lord hath spoken it. Verse 9, it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up thy mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. And as you see that today, like Iran and all standing up to America, normally Iran, it would have backed down, because it'd be like, oh shit, America taking we, this, that. They don't give a ass. They fighting back, and it's not like to say they wait on any one country to come and back them, they fought back. Even when Trump was threatening them and whatnot, they didn't back down. They fought back, right? And as Trump rightfully say, they've been saying death to America. So they wasn't hiding it. They was making it known that, hey, we don't like this fucking country. They on shit, And through the spirit and power, Yahweh Shai, the Lord have these other nations showing unto them to fulfill his prophecy. You understand? So the weak saying the strong now, right? The only other powerful nation after America was Russia and China, and they wasn't powerful enough to stand up to America, but the Lord have it now where it is they are, they are strong enough to stand up to America, and the Lord gonna combine all of their strengths, the same weak ones, as we read in Ezekiel 38, the Lord gonna bind them, the Lord gonna cause Putin to arm them up, guard them up, and bind their powers together and deal with America and Israel. You understand? It says in verse 11, it says, assemble yourselves together. Assemble yourselves and come ye, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there I will sit to judge all the heathen round about. Right? Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, and the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Right? So the Lord, this is the side that we on. Right? We on the Lord's side. The Lord against all these nations. Right? And we against them too. So what we see in here, we just showing our excitement that, the end of Esau rule is near. Let's actually get that. I'm gonna pull it in our next tab. I'm gonna pull it here. If I can get it here, I'm supposed to get it here. This is 2nd Ezra 6. We start from 7. These fucking devils, You know, if I type second address thing, it will still come up on Bible Gateway. Let me see. You see? These mother cunts on them. This is how they just hide the Apocrypha, you know. You're on the Bible Gateway and you're typing in second address, but you're not seeing it come up. You want to tell you that book will exist. When you type it in Google search, it's coming up. Even if it's in the CEB, but still, it's still there. You know, and if it's at the CEB, that means it's at the KJV too. So they just try and think. These fucking devils. Not me and them watch RSV. NRSVA. How the fuck these devils is? Even on here and all two, it just play the ass what you see. Stopping up the Revelation, but look, 1 second and just 7. Come on, man. Yeah, what fuck that? See, he's so on the bullshit right now. I'm going through that. Second address 6 and 7, right? It says, Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times? Right? This is Ezra asking the angel, right? It says, Or what shall be the ending of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born, of him Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, which represents the pulling down, right, of Esau's kingdom, right? Jacob pulling down Esau's kingdom. He ruled, right? Verse 9, it says, For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. So you see, Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. So hey, this is what we waiting to see, you know, right? Because at the end of the day, the Lord say that these devils going to be in power when he return. You understand? And these devils in power right now. You know, now it's just for that MOTB to kick off, and boy, we in the gear, because we already know some countries already, you know, fully going digital and whatnot. So it's just for the rest of the world, and we can't wait, right? Because who knows, this same inflation here with the oils and whatnot that being caused, because there's a video I saw also where it is you know, Iran block off damn thing. Let me actually see if I could get it to play it for you all.
One of the world's most important shipping lanes has been cut off. Iran is vowing to attack any ship trying to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. It is also targeting energy sites across the Middle East, including Saudi Arabia's largest oil refinery, a liquefied natural gas facility in Qatar, and a major oil refinery in Kuwait. And all this is raising energy prices, sending the price of oil and liquefied natural gas higher. Now, the Strait of Hormuz is the narrow channel off Iran's coast. This is where nearly 20% of global oil consumption flows. On Monday, a senior official with Iran's Revolutionary Guards said the strait is closed, and if anyone tries to pass, Iran will, quote, set those ships ablaze. Choking it off could antagonize China. China is the world's largest importer of crude. It's also the biggest buyer of Iranian oil.
Right, so you see there that, you know, the with the oil and whatnot, because Iran looking to block off that pathway there, right? Because they're bombing anything not pass, right? Anything not pass. So therefore, you're gonna cause what hyperinflation, you know? Because you know when gas go up, everything going up, you know. So you never know through that inflation there, right? Because we've had inflation before, of course. You know, but through this inflation here is what ultimately could bring in the MOTB. You know, it's something that, hey, it could happen. You know, it could happen. It's something for us to think about, something for us to look out for. Because we know that has to happen first. You know, that has to happen first. You know, so, hey, just be on the lookout. You know, Luke 21:36. Did that on the video I did this morning. Right? Watch ye therefore and pray always, you know. So we had to be watching. So I hope this lesson was edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai. Till next time, I say shalom and harak babal to this place.